Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Cabral.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. We're starting off our weekend Cabral house calls. Each and every weekend answering your wellness, weight loss, weight gain, anti-aging, biohacking, coaching, all of the in between each and every Saturday and Sunday. So as always, thanks so much for joining me here. Love being able to reach out and answer your questions. And I have no doubt today there are going to be some great ones. So I'm just opening up the Ask Cabral document. And if you want to read along with all of the questions, they are at stephencabral.com/2479. Read along with today's questions at stephencabral.com/2479. All right. These are coming in from early August. So as we're in we're in mid November right now. It looks like we are running, about 13 weeks behind. Okay, so we're holding pretty steady at 12, 13 weeks behind on answering your questions. So again, if you submitted yours before August 4th, it will have already been answered. You can find those house calls at stephencabral.com/podcasts. And if yours was written in after August 4th, it will be coming soon. All right, let's dive into today's show. The first one is from Tara. Tara says, "Hello, my name is Tara, and I've had stomach issues my whole life. Everyone said it was just a stressed stomach. Within the last 6 weeks, I was introduced to a naturopath doctor who has brought the stomach issue to the top of my head. She believes I have biofilm. I've tried researching this and cannot find many people speaking about it. My doctors and I have started to plan on how to tackle it, but curious if Dr. Cabral has dived into this as well. I've been eating great and taking the top line of supplements and tests, and I'm still deficient in B's, D, C, folate, etc. I resonate with so many of the podcasts and yet have not heard anything on this issue of biofilm. I'm just curious if Dr. Cabral has any insights on the topic. Thank you." Okay, well, absolutely I do. And I've done a whole podcast on biofilms before and how to remove them. So what I would like to say is head on over to stephencabral.com/podcasts, and you can just type in biofilm in the search box. We'll see if it pops up. But if a podcast doesn't ever pop up on a topic that you want, all you really want to do is go to cabralsupportgroup.com and just ask, like, hey, could you share with me the podcast on biofilms? And they will absolutely do that. Let's see if I can find it for you, though. Digestive plaque at 1678. Let's see what else. I mentioned it on 1635. 1502 with heavy metals. Let's see if I have one specifically on biofilms, episode 515. Okay, but here's the thing as well. So definitely ask at cabralsupportgroup.com. But the other item I want to share with you is that you can do the CBO protocol, which is used by tens of thousands of people all over the world, practitioners as well, and it actually helps to remove the biofilms. So the biofilms can be created inside of your small intestine, large intestine, and they can hold heavy metals, then they can hold parasites inside, bacteria, etc. Again, lots of podcasts on them as well. So what you want to look for is a product like Florafilm and Biofilm Disruptor, but those are or Biofilm Defense. Those are at stephencabral.com/CBO. All right. So that's the best way to get started. Free podcasts. All my podcasts on digestion, by the way. I have a whole course on digestion that's used for practitioners and the general public at stephencabral.com/courses. And then the CBO protocol. So all sorts of different ways to get started. All right. Megan's up next. "Hello, Dr. Cabral. I think I may have heard you mentioned palate expanders on one of your episodes discussing mouth breathing. Can you expand on that a bit? I'm debating about getting one for my 7-year-old daughter, but I want to weigh the pros and cons. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, we had to make this decision with my oldest daughter on using a palate expander. And we decided not to. That was a personal decision. Again, I'm not here to give you any medical advice, medical diagnosis, medical treatment plans. What's the other one? Diagnosis, treatment plans, cures, medical advice. That's good. Okay, so here's what I'm going to share with you. If you expand the palate, I'm not saying that that actually could bring benefit, right? Could bring benefit to the sinuses as well. And that's good. The problem is we just have to worry that if things in the bones do not all move together in unison, you can end up with TMJ, when the child's older, as a teenager and throughout life, and you can end up with other mainly jaw and sinus-based issues. So what we did for my daughter was shrink her tonsils. That was number 1. Number 2 was malt tape. Number 3 was braces, but we found a very specific orthodontist that enabled her to very slowly and gently move her teeth around without a palate expander, but it greatly increased the width of her palate and teeth by allowing the teeth to just simply move on their own. So I recommend essentially all of those things. All right. Hopefully that is helpful. All right. Bailey's up next. I have a 12-month-old who has a dairy allergy. I completely avoided dairy and gluten when I was breastfeeding her due to colic and digestive issues. I started her on raw goat's milk after nursing, but she wasn't a fan, so she drinks raw cow's milk. I plan to switch to nut milk, only water once she's getting enough calories from fat and food. One day we ran out of milk, so I gave her some store-bought whole milk temporarily. She developed digestive pain and hives shortly after. The hives lasted almost a week now. I know dairy takes a long time to leave the system. I feel like I did everything right with her. She was born vaginally, unvaccinated. She's never been on antibiotics, took probiotics with her breast milk the whole year she was breastfed. Dairy wasn't introduced to 12 months. We live in a country without a ton of environmental toxins, yet she still has this allergy. I myself have always been sensitive to dairy, so my guess is genetics. My question is, what is the bottom line? What is the root cause of so many childhood food allergies, and why do we outgrow them? This is becoming such a norm. Okay, well, let's go. Let's go brass tacks, right? So your daughter didn't have an issue with raw cow's milk; she had an issue with regular cow's milk. So, again, let's visit the source. These are not healthy cows. It's homogenized milk. It's missing its enzymes. It's highly inflammatory, right? And so, it's not even the same thing. It's normal omega-6s to omega-3s versus high omega-6s to omega-3s. And so is it an allergy? Yeah, it could be. It could be a sensitivity. But also, it's not a clean product. So it's your choice as a parent if you want to do raw cow's milk or raw goat's milk or switch over to yogurt instead. Maybe you're doing cow's milk yogurt, not cow's milk yogurt, sheep milk yogurt or goat milk yogurt. So, those are kind of your choices and how you want to do that. But I wouldn't blame it necessarily. You know that I'm not a huge advocate of cow's milk, right? So that's been stated many, many times. I think goat and sheep are better alternatives if you're looking for that as well. So yeah, you didn't necessarily do anything wrong. That's the thing is I don't think you necessarily did anything wrong. And part of it is genetics as well. Some people don't produce as much lactase and they can't break down milk as well. And so with raw cow's milk, you're getting a lot of those enzymes already in there. All right, so hopefully that's helpful. Because again, I want to take the burden off you. I don't think you necessarily did anything wrong. And I don't think that people necessarily outgrow them. They just don't have as large of a reaction because they're a larger human and they're better able to process it. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's healthier for them. That's for sure. All right, Jessica's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Thank you for being a source of well-studied information on all things health and wellness. Thank you, Jessica. I've been looking into the iodine controversy as to whether or not iodine is beneficial or harmful for thyroid patients, specifically Hashimoto's. There is research on how going on a low iodine food diet, along with no supplemented iodine in any form, would support the thyroid in healing from Hashimoto's. I've heard strong views from both sides, and I'm hoping to get your view on the topic and how you would approach this subject in helping a family member. Okay, so again, yes, I'm not providing medical advice. I did a whole podcast on this. I'll see if I can find it really quick. I gave it out just a couple weeks ago, so this was obviously done after you wrote in your question. It's episode 2391. Does iodine intake damage your thyroid or increase Hashimoto's? The whole answer is right there. StephenCabral.com/2391. Just keep in mind, by removing iodine from the diet, are you really helping Hashimoto's? Or is it like conventional medicine peekaboo game, right? Like, what are we doing? The human body needs iodine. Like, it's an essential nutrient to the human body. It's one of the most powerful detoxifiers in the human body. It makes thyroid hormone. Hashimoto's is an autoimmune issue, not an iodine issue. Okay, temporary relief by removing iodine? Maybe. We don't do it in our practice. We have never needed to because we always find the underlying root cause of the autoimmune issue, right? It's like that's what you need to do. So read my book, The Rain Barrel Effect. It's free. You just pay for shipping at StephenCabral.com. You can take my thyroid course at StephenCabral.com/courses. Yeah, I mean, you want to fix the underlying root cause. And you want to find out what that is by running the Big Five if possible. And for an autoimmune issue, the bacteria, parasite, and stool test, because 90% of the time there's a gut issue plus whatever else there might be. All right, so hopefully that's helpful. But there's really no debate. I stated all the research. It's very straightforward. It really is. Doesn't mean it's like simple to do, but we know what to do. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about it. You can go overboard on iodine. I won't say that. I mean, you absolutely can. So you don't want to get, you don't want to go too out of control with it. But iodine is essential for the body, and we need that. All right. Cassia is up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Hope this email finds you well. I watched your video about Serrapeptase enzyme. Thank you so much for the detailed, informative, and useful information. I have silicone breast implants. I purchased the Serrapeptase product for my chronic nose sinus, but I'm concerned it might deteriorate the capsule that naturally form around the breast implants. I've read online it eats non-living tissues, including scar tissue and maybe the capsule. And what Cassie is talking about is when you have breast implants, the body essentially forms additional tissue, fascia, almost like scar tissue that she's describing, that is not necessarily meant to hold the breast implants in place, but it actually creates almost like a protective coating, almost like a biofilm that we were talking about earlier, around the implant, which is non-native to the body. All right. So do you know of women with breast implants who have been taking it? What's their feedback for the past 3 to 4 weeks? I've been taking a therapeutic dosage of 120,000 SPU. I've noticed my breast fat has slightly reduced. I don't know if it's because of the Serrapeptase or intermittent fasting. I've started them at the same time. Appreciate your input and advice. Okay. So happy to help on this. I think it sounds like you're taking Serrapeptase for sinus-based issues. So here's the thing. We have a product called proteolytic enzymes. It has 120,000 plus of Serrapeptase and 120,000 plus of nattokinase. Absolutely phenomenal at cleaning up the blood, eating away at necrotic tissue, helping with the sinuses, helping with healthy levels of inflammation, helping with blood clots, etc. All right, so like no doubt about it, proteolytic enzymes, phenomenal product. You can find the one I'm talking about at StephenCabral.com/shop. Again, I can't give you medical advice. If it was a family member of mine, I would have no problem with them doing like 6 to 8 weeks of using the proteolytic enzyme. However, if yours is not for joint-based issues, inflammation, et cetera, but rather sinuses, I would most likely figure out what's going on with the sinuses. Again, look for the root cause, look for gut-based issues, look for Th2-based immune issues, but also there's a product called Sinus Support. And I would most likely be using the product called Sinus Support along with like the Allergy protocol at StephenCabral.com/shop. That's what I would be doing. All right. One more question and by the way, most likely the reduction in breast fat tissue is from intermittent fasting, not that quickly from Serrapeptase. All right. Anonymous is up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I was wondering what can be the cause and possible solution for hirsutism. always slur that word out, hirsutism, particularly if blood sugar levels are well managed, my periods are regular, and I'm not overweight. In the past, I've used birth control for 7 years, got off, had 2 kids, and had a chin here and there. But now, 2.5 years later, after having my second child, I have full-blown, highly undesired situation happening on my chin and a little around my nipples. It's been at least a year and it's only getting worse. I've used a continuous glucose monitor for months of investigation. Blood sugar repair is well managed. I don't drink alcohol or coffee, don't smoke, no other health conditions I know of. I'm stressed and don't sleep super well. When I tested a cycle mapping of my hormones, my testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone levels were fine, but my adrenal glands might just hate me. Both free cortisol and cortisol were very high, possibly due to prolonged periods of stress. I totally understand. Okay, so want to share with you. So hirsutism, yes, that's how we say it, is essentially a hair growth on a woman's typically upper lip, back, chest. Those are more of the areas that men may grow more hair, but typically not women. And so what I would share with you is that this is very, very common with women that we work with PCOS, or in general, higher levels of androgens. The test that you ran is not my favorite lab to run. I prefer a free sample of these hormones. I prefer a saliva hormone test. The one that we use is called the stress, mood, and metabolism. In my opinion, is the gold standard. Keep in mind, any of the labs that I offer at stevencabral.com/shop, they're not mine. I have to be a doctor has to sign off on your labs, right? So that's it. So we ship these all over the world, but we run them through what's called CLIA certified labs. These are best labs in the world. They keep all your information private, et cetera. All right, I just want to share that with you. The second part is this. Now, when you're testing your samples, you're testing a snapshot in time for testosterone. And you did say that your androstenedione or aldosterone were high. My inkling is that your high levels of cortisol and stress is leading to higher androgen output at certain points during the day. Higher androgen output is typically related to testosterone. It could be androstenediol, it could be androstenedione, it could be DHT, which is dihydrotestosterone, as well as testosterone. So unless you're really testing for all of those, you kind of don't know, but that's most likely what it is. So what do we need to do? Again, if you haven't read my book, The Rain Barrel Effect, please do read that. It is free. I pay for the printing of the book. You just pay for the shipping. That's at stevencabral.com, and you'll find it on the website. So that's the thing. So we want to control stress. I don't know the protocol you're on right now, but we don't just use supplements. We use lifestyle, right? So we're using walking, we're doing meditation or binaural beats, or we're doing like whatever it is that you need to kind of calm whatever the stress is. We're getting you on a good sleep schedule. So that's imperative, right? Really, really important. So you can check out my shows on sleep at stevencabral.com/podcast. Those are all free. Also write about it in The Rain Barrel Effect. And then we're using products like Adrenal Soothe and full spectrum magnesium, and then like the sleep help support protocol in order to reset that circadian rhythm. So that's where you would start. If you want to run that lab, it does come with a complimentary consultation as well. So you get a plan with that. And so that's what I would do. And hopefully that was helpful. But definitely a solution for that, no doubt about it. We work with many, many women where it's not always blood sugar. You're right. It's androgens and cortisol. All right. That is it for today's show. Appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Thank you so much. Of course, share the show with anyone you feel it could help. And I'll be back tomorrow answering 6 more of our community's questions. Take care, everybody. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stevencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.